In this program, we're going to learn how to use if statements. So I'll call it if introduction for the project. And we'll make a new class. I'm in the correct folder. And I'll just call the class if stuff. And I'll take a free public static void main string args. Put some documentation at the top. And as I indicated, we're going to learn lots of ways to use if statements in Java. We're going to get ourselves a scanner object. I'll call it keyboard. Of course, we're going to need to import the java.util.scanner. That's up at the top. Feel free to leave it there. I've mentioned before I like to move it down closer to the start of the class. And this is going to allow us to get some input from the user. I'll make a string variable called str cheese weight. Get it? String cheese. Cheese weight, but it's str cheese weight, and then I'll have an integer variable that also is cheese weight. That way, what users enter will get as a string, we'll convert it to an integer. We'll prompt the user, we want the weight in pounds of their cheese. We'll have that string variable, str cheese weight, equal keyboard.nextLine, taking the input as a string. And then we'll have cheese weight equal integer.parseInt str cheese weight. We've practiced this before, especially when we learned about dialog boxes. We'll run the program, and it looks like we are successfully going to be able to get the users to enter in a cheese weight. Now we'll check to see if the cheese weighs exactly 25 pounds. Here's how. If cheese weight, notice double equal sign for a comparison. We don't use a single equal sign. That's only for assignments. A double equal sign. If cheese weight, double equal sign, 25. And that goes in parentheses. It must be in parentheses. What we're trying to see if it's true has to be in parentheses. If the cheese weight is 25 pounds, we're going to give them cheese for free. Maybe they're in a store buying cheese. So we'll enter in 25. The cheese is in fact free. It does pass the test of cheese weight equaling 25. When we use 14, it doesn't pass. It would be false that cheese weight double equals 25. So nothing happens. So let's look at how we could check for not exactly 25 pounds. The exclamation mark means not. So exclamation mark followed by an equal sign is not equal to 25. Won't be a double equal sign there. It's exclamation point equal 25. That means not equal to 25. If that is true, then we will display that the cheese is not free. So let's test these out. If the weight of the cheese is 11, the cheese is not free. It was false on double equal 25, but true that it was not equal to 25. Now when the cheese is 25, it is true that it is 25, so the cheese is free. It is not true that it's not equal to 25, so we didn't see anything about that. We can also use greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. In this case, we're going to check to see if the cheese weight is greater than or equal to 46. The greater than operator is first, followed immediately by an equal sign. So we're comparing cheese weight greater than or equal to 46. If so, they will qualify for free crackers. We'll display this exciting message for them. And then we'll test it out. First, we'll try 82 pounds of cheese. Well, that's not free, but it does qualify for a free package of crackers. It's greater than or equal to 46. 25, the cheese is free, doesn't qualify for a free package of crackers. 7, the cheese is not free, and it's also not greater than or equal to 46, so we don't see the message about cheese weight qualifying for crackers. 47 is greater than or equal to 46. It's not free because it's not equal to 25, but it is greater than or equal to 46, so we do get the message that our cheese weight qualifies for a free package of crackers. Very similar to use greater than, less than or equal to. If-else statements. Let's go to our friends Wallace and Gromit. That's Wallace on the left, Gromit on the right, and they love cheese. First, we'll deal with the cheese that Wallace might have. So we'll declare an integer variable, Wallace cheese. Wallace is going to have 71 pounds of cheese. We'll determine the cheese awesomeness using if-else. If you have more than 60 pounds of cheese, you are experiencing cheese awesomeness. If you eat 60 pounds or more of cheese, you might experience something else. All right, if Wallace cheese is greater than 60, and notice we're using these braces to hold the statements inside the ifs. We know when they end and we know where they start. And I'm going to have an else after that brace that ended that if. They go together here. So if it's true that Wallace cheese is greater than 60, then Wallace has an awesome amount of cheese. Otherwise, there's only two situations here. Either that's true or false. Wallace does not have an awesome amount of cheese. We'll put a second line in here. And that's why these braces are handy. Everything inside the braces of this else will occur. We can have more than one line of code. We could also have exactly one line. More about that in a moment. So in this if-else, there are two paths to follow. Either it's true or it's false. One of those paths will be followed. We'll just enter that in. Wallace has 71 pounds of cheese. That is an awesome amount of cheese. It's greater than 60. We'll drop it down to 33. We'll just enter in something here. 33 is going to go to the else. It is false that 33 is greater than 60, so it drops to the else, and we see the two lines about Wallace's amount of cheese is not awesome. If we change it to exactly 60, that is not an awesome amount of cheese because that is not greater than 60. 60 is the same as 60. So that's why it dropped down to the else part. However, if we make it greater than or equal to 60, now it is an awesome amount of cheese. So if-else when you have exactly two paths to follow. If that's all you care about, true or false. Now it is also possible to write an if on just one line and not use the braces. If there's only going to be one line of code executed in that if. So in this example here, I have the system.out.println immediately after the condition. So if Wallace cheese is 47, we will display the word cheese. And I have set Wallace cheese equal to 47. Eclipse is okay with this. I'll just type something in here. And the word cheese appears because Wallace cheese is equal to 47. And it is okay to have it on one line. You could also hit enter as I just did. Put it on another line. Remember, white space is not a delimiter. So that's okay also. I tend to always put my statements inside the braces, even if there's only going to be just one of them. For me, it makes it a lot easier if I change my mind later and need to put more in there. Next, we'll use if and else if, and we'll check out Gromit in his cheese situation. We're going to give Gromit 82 pounds of cheese. It may seem like a lot for a dog. He can handle it. Again, we must check this condition in parentheses. So, if Gromit cheese is greater than or equal to 60, we'll determine that Gromit has an awesome amount of cheese. Remember, we have Gromit cheese equal to 82 right now, so that should be true. Let's check it out. We'll just put something in here, doesn't matter. We're checking the last line. Gromit has an awesome amount of cheese. Yes, he does. He's got 82 pounds. which is greater than or equal to 60. We're going to have multiple situations here, not just two of them. So we're going to use else if. So else if grommet cheese is greater than or equal to 54, we'll say grommet has a pretty good amount of cheese. I mean, 54 pounds is still pretty good. We'll change his amount of cheese to something less than 60. Now it's 55. It's not greater than or equal to 60, but it is greater than or equal to 54. And there it is. Grommet has a pretty good amount of cheese. It went through the greater than or equal to 60. That was false. Next, it went to the else if, and it did register as true that grommet cheese is greater than or equal to 54. Well, let's have another scenario. Else if grommet cheese, we'll go with greater than or equal to 27. Again, you see I'm using the braces, even though I only have one statement. I'm ready in case I put more in there. Grommet has enough cheese for a decent party. I think 27 pounds of cheese, you could have a pretty good party with that. Let's change grommet cheese amount to something that allows us to test for that, 34. That won't be greater than or equal to 60 or greater than or equal to 54, but it will be greater than or equal to 27. And there it is. Grommet has enough cheese for a decent party. It registered as false there. False with greater than or equal to 54, but true at greater than or equal to 27. Now, if that's all we've got, we can have a catch-all at the end. If none of those situations work, if they're all false, then we can have an else here at the end. And we'll say that if none of those things are true, grommet needs more cheese. So this will be for anything less than 27. And notice I'm putting some documentation at the end of these ifs so I know what brace is ending the if block and what the if block was about. We'll change grommet's cheese to 12 pounds. Just enter in something here to get us down to the grommet situation. And grommet needs more cheese. It was false that it was greater than or equal to 60. False greater than or equal to 54. False greater than or equal to 27. So we ended up in the else. Anything else, grommet needs more cheese.